they would choose China. Malaysia and China just celebrated the 50-year anniversary of diplomatic relations this past week. And in fact, Chinese Premier Li just flew to Kuala Lumpur for a 3-day diplomatic visit with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Nearly 23% of Malaysia's population is Chinese, forming the second largest ethnic group in the country, and is irrelevant in terms of economic activities in the country, has become dominant, purely because it is used as an international currency. And this is the common theme we've seen among all BRICS members, a desire to shift away from using the US dollar in trade. In fact, earlier last month, Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is also the rotating BRICS president this year, announced to the world how the BRICS alliance will reduce its US dollar trade.
В том числе по линии БРИКС прорабатывается формирование независимой платежной системы, не подверженной политическому давлению, злоупотреблениями и внешнему санкционному вмешательству.
Halo teman-teman semua, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Apa kabarnya nih teman-teman semua? Semoga sehat selalu ya. Dan kembali lagi bersama aku Rizky tentunya. Kali ini kita masih mau melanjutin requestan dari teman-teman semua. Thank you untuk teman-teman yang sudah kirimin link requestnya ke DM Instagram aku di ysrizqiyyah. Dan ini ada informasi terbaru tentu saja yang membuat negara Malaysia semakin maju tentunya. Langsung saja kita nonton videonya. 1, 2, 3.
Well, two of Southeast Asia's most important economies have just announced their plans to join the BRICS network. And if you aren't convinced yet that the BRICS alliance is quickly changing the entire geopolitical landscape, just listen to the words of Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who had this to say about his country joining BRICS. We can no longer accept this scenario where the West wants to control the discourse, because the fact is they are not colonial powers anymore, and independent countries should be free to express themselves. As each week passes, we continue to see more stories about the developing world wanting to break free from US hegemony and seek a more balanced and fair world. Malaysia is the 6th largest economy in Southeast Asia, and its decision to move forward with BRICS came just 1 week after Thailand, the 2nd largest economy in Southeast Asia, also announced plans to move forward with BRICS membership later this year. Together, the Thailand and Malaysian economies represent more than $1 trillion of GDP, which of course will be an incredible addition for the BRICS alliance. But more importantly, there is a larger geopolitical story happening behind the scenes that could reshape the entire future of Asia. No surprise here, but the biggest winner of this new deal will be China, and for one very strategic reason. Let's break it down. You see, the story of Malaysia joining BRICS actually starts in this body of water, the Strait of Malacca, which arguably is the most important body of water in the entire world. The Malaccan Strait is over 800 kilometers in length, and at its narrowest point, only 2.8 kilometers wide, making it one of the world's most congested shipping choke points. Every year, more than 94,000 vessels pass through these waters, and incredibly, 25% of the world's traded goods passes through this strait. But here is where things get very interesting. There is no country in the world more dependent on the Strait of Malacca than China, as more than 80% of China's oil imports travel directly through these waters. Simply put, if China were to ever lose access to this vital waterway, it would absolutely cripple the Chinese economy and would be the easiest way for foreign adversaries to launch an attack on China. Let's imagine a scenario where one day the US and China are drawn into a larger conflict. The US military wouldn't have to, nor would they want to, take on China's military directly. They could simply travel over to Malaysia and block Chinese shipping containers from passing through the Strait of Malacca. But what would this look like in the real world? We simply need to look at what's happening in real time with the Suez Canal crisis to understand how devastating a naval war in the region could be. In January, Iran-backed Houthi rebels took control of the Suez Canal and are causing absolute chaos to the shipping world in response to Israel's war in Gaza. The results have decimated the shipping industry, which saw a 50% drop in Suez Canal trade in the first 2 months of 2024. What's incredible about this attack from the Yemen rebel group is the impact it's had on global shipping. Take a look at this graph, which shows the plummet in shipping through the Suez Canal in the red line, and the explosion of trade through the Cape of Good Hope in the blue line. Because of this conflict, shipping companies are now using 1,000-year-old trading lines and rerouting vessels all the way down around the tip of Africa. The risk is now too high in the Suez Canal, as multiple ships have been sunk by the rebels. There is no doubt that China is watching this situation very closely, and in fact has been working on a backup plan just in case there was ever a conflict in the Malaccan Strait. In 2015, China launched the flagship project of the Belt and Road Initiative, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which would see a railway built from China's western Xinjiang province and extend all the way down to the Arabian Sea. This project has a budget of nearly $50 billion and would guarantee China's access to Middle Eastern oil if the Malaccan Strait was ever blocked. But the Pakistani economy has been in turmoil for years, and the Chinese government is becoming less optimistic about the future of this project. In reality, China needs a backup plan. They can't depend on Pakistan for the security of its oil imports. China is the most dominant country in Asia and wants to maintain its regional supremacy. With Malaysia now joining the Brics alliance and moving closer to China, this will help China secure its access through the Strait of Malacca for many years to come. China has been very strategic with this alignment with Malaysia, and in fact has been working on building strong relationships throughout the ASEAN alliance, a political and economic union of 10 member states in Southeast Asia. Honestly, you might not believe the results China has achieved in just a few short years. In 2017, China's trade with the ASEAN alliance was $252 billion, but in the past 7 years, that's increased 106% to $523 billion, making ASEAN the most important trading partner for China. More than 80% of these imports are electronics, machinery, chemicals, plastics, aluminum, and other industrial goods. Basically all the industries that China is a dominant force in. While the US government wants to pivot to Asia and become the dominant superpower in the region, this goal is simply unrealistic. The US simply can't compete with China's manufacturing prowess, and we've seen a significant shift in the attitude of ASEAN nations as a result. If you remember one chart from today's video, let it be this one, which shows how Southeast Asia's preferred ally has switched in favor of China. Let's start at the bottom of this chart, which shows in 2023, only 38.9% of ASEAN countries wanted China as their strategic partner. Fast forward to 2024, and that number has now increased to over 50%, surpassing the United States. No surprise here, but Malaysia leads all countries in ASEAN with over 75% of the population saying if they were forced to align themselves with one strategic rival, they would choose China. Malaysia and China just celebrated the 50-year anniversary of diplomatic relations this past week, and in fact, Chinese Premier Li Qiang just flew to Kuala Lumpur for a 3-day diplomatic visit with Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Nearly 23% of Malaysia's population is Chinese, forming the second largest ethnic group in the country. With nearly 1 out of every 4 Malaysians tracing their roots back to mainland China, it should come as no surprise that many Malaysians have a positive image and a desire to work closer with China. China has poured billions of dollars of investment into Malaysia, with the flagship project being the 665-kilometer East Coast Rail Link project. This railway is the largest standalone transportation infrastructure project undertaken by Chinese enterprises overseas and will transform the entire future of Malaysia, connecting the east and west coasts and many cities and towns in between. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar said that China's rise has brought us a glimmer of hope that are checks and balances in the world. One of those checks and balances for Malaysia and all BRICS members is freedom from the US dollar in trade. Once again, the Malaysian Prime Minister shares his thoughts. Last year, Malaysia had the highest investment ever, but the currency was still attacked. It doesn't make sense. It goes against basic economic principles. Why? A currency that is completely outside the trade system of the two countries and is irrelevant in terms of economic activities in the country has become dominant, purely because it is used as an international currency. And this is the common theme we've seen among all BRICS members, a desire to shift away from using the US dollar in trade. In fact, earlier last month, Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is also the rotating BRICS president this year, announced to the world how the BRICS alliance will reduce its US dollar trade.
В том числе по линии БРИКС прорабатывается формирование независимой платежной системы, не подверженной политическому давлению, злоупотреблениями и внешнему санкционному вмешательству.
Rather than creating a common currency, BRICS will create a trading platform to increase the use of local currencies in trade amongst member countries. With Thailand and Malaysia now wanting to join the BRICS alliance, this now gives Russia and China an incredible amount of leverage in Southeast Asia. Skeptics of BRICS has long criticized the organization and said that some BRICS countries, like Ethiopia and Iran, are too small and bring very little benefit to the organization. But the BRICS alliance is quickly changing this talking point. A few weeks ago, Turkey followed a similar position and became the first NATO country to express interest in joining BRICS. After waiting many decades for EU membership, it's clear that Turkey has given up on this dream and instead shifted their future prospects to the BRICS alliance. Turkish foreign minister went on the record saying that the China-led BRICS alliance will offer Turkey a, quote, good alternative to the European Union. This is quite the statement from Turkey, who, don't forget, has been a full NATO member since 1952 and contains the second largest army in the NATO alliance. Turkey is the bridge between Europe and Asia and will be a crucial ally for the BRICS organization. But once again, the main benefit from countries joining BRICS is freedom from the US dollar and international trade. Here is the official statement from one of Malaysia's most important banks on its country's decision to join the BRICS network. It will effectively insulate Malaysia and the region from the changes in the United States monetary policy and currency volatility, improving predictability in the currency market and lower transaction costs for exporters and importers. Jeffrey Williams, an economist at the Malaysia University of Science and Technology, also shares his thoughts on why this is so important for the future of Malaysia's own currency. The economic balance of power is shifting. Hence, Malaysia, as a small open economy, must respond positively. There are trade and investment opportunities with BRICS, and this will create demand for the ringgit and strengthen the currency over time.
Wah, ini informasinya sangat menarik ya teman-teman ya. Ini Malaysia adalah antara negara kecil yang hebat di dunia memang ya. Ini langkah terbaik sih ya, kebijakan terbaik yang diambil oleh negara Malaysia tentunya ya. Dan langkah ini tentu saja membuka kunci untuk tahapan selanjutnya ya. Akan membuat negara Malaysia semakin maju tentunya ya teman-teman ya. Luar biasa ya teman-teman ya, langkah dan kebijakan yang diambil oleh negara Malaysia ini untuk mengatasi pergantungan kepada dolar Amerika Serikat tentu saja. Wah, senang sekali ya bisa tahu tentang informasi ini tentunya teman-teman ya. Thank you untuk teman-teman semua yang sudah request. Aku akhiri dulu. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sampai jumpa lagi di videoku selanjutnya. Bye bye, next time, bye.